What's going on, everybody? How you doing? In today's video, we are checking out a 3-part interview with Alex Lifeson regarding his solo album, Victor. This is from 1996 on Rockline. If you're new here, please subscribe. Check out my videos, all kinds of videos, reaction videos, bass videos, music videos. Check it out. If you like the channel, you want to support the channel, you can hit super thanks underneath this video. You can hit me direct in the description. I got PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Amazon wishlist, mailing address, and I do donation request videos. So if there's something you want me to listen to, watch, talk about, a question, hit me direct, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, and in the notes section, leave a description, leave a link, let me know what you want the video to be on, and I'll make the video. Thank you, guys. Okay, cool. Interview. Lifeson Goes It Alone with Victor. The album for me was pretty hit or miss. Sonically, it was... I feel like if it was mixed better, maybe I would feel differently. Maybe. I'm not, maybe. Sometimes it's hard, things, if you don't want to hear something because it just, like, for those kind of reasons, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of tough, but that's how I feel about it, so it's what it is. Anyways, let's check this out, this interview, part 1, with Alex Lifeson. Bam.
Well, if an idle mind is the devil's workshop, then old Beelzebub's got nothing on Alex Lifeson. What does he do on his first extended vacation from Rush in about 20 years? What else? Goes back into the studio to make an album. This time, however, it is to fulfill a personal desire to write and record music that is uniquely his own. Hence, Victor, Alex Lifeson's first ever solo project. And we're going to be hearing what Alex did on his vacation as he joins us live from our Canadian flagship station, Q107 in Toronto tonight. Good evening, Alex.
How you doing, Steve?
Very good, thank you, and I hope the new year finds you well.
Very, very well.
Do you recall, Alex, when it was that the idea, or more exactly the desire to do a solo album first sort of came upon you?
I remember thinking about it in the late 70s. I think we all thought about it at that time, without making any kind of real definite movement towards it. And after all these years of recording and touring, I realize now, after doing my project, that it would have been impossible until I had a length of time like I did to work on it. I worked 10 months on the record. The last 3 months I worked every day on it, and I didn't stop thinking about it for some minute of that whole time. So it really required that sort of a commitment.
And really being able to step back from the band completely, as you all did.
Yeah, I think we needed to do that regardless. At the end of the last tour, Geddy and his wife Nancy had a baby girl, which was about a week after the tour ended, so their timing was perfect. But I couldn't see myself sitting around for a year and a half not doing anything more constructive than working on my golf game. So I kind of dove into it at that point. All three of you in Rush participate equally in the creation of the music and the execution of the music of that band. But I think a case could be made that of the three of you, we probably know the least about who Alex Lifeson is. Would you agree with that? Possibly. I guess. I suppose in some ways I've been a little bit more in the background, but I think I'm certainly an integral part of Rush and the sound of Rush. The other two guys happen to be brilliant at what they do. So,
well, there's no question about that part of it, but I think it's more in terms of how much you choose to reveal about
exactly.
yourself.
And I think for all three of us, we're very protective of our private lives. And when you do something like we do, and you're always on the road and you're always in somebody's face, it's important to have something that's not really accessible to a lot of people.
That doesn't belong to everybody else, yeah.
Exactly. And I was just going to say that our private lives have been that thing. It's been an anchor for us, really, in this sea of craziness that touring and being in a rock band is.
Rockline. Alex Lifeson with us. Our first stop, San Diego tonight. Talon is on the line listening to Rock 102.1. Talon, You're on with Alex Lifeson.
Hey, how you doing, Alex? Good evening.
Good, Dylan. How you doing?
Pretty good. I'm just kind of wondering what the inspiration or the driving force behind Promise is. Like, are these songs that you've been holding on to, during the course of Rush, and just decide to make an album now, or is it just something that's hit you now? The idea.
No, none of the songs were things that I had in my own little catalog. I kind of approached everything fresh. I co-wrote a number of songs with Bill Bell, who is another guitar player friend of mine that I'd met working on something else a couple of years ago. And Pookie and I have become very, very close, good friends.
You must be if you can call him Pookie.
What the heck?
Yeah, well, that is kind of weird when we're in public. And we stopped holding hands.
Oh, my God.
So it's not quite as difficult as it was. But we wrote a number of songs, that being one of them. And really, it was just fresh. And it was nice to work with somebody else. I love working with Geddy and Neil very, very much. But it was, again, I think really good for me to be around other influences and around other people and to be in a different situation completely.
Those of you who are familiar with the work of another fine Canadian artist, Tom Cochrane, might recognize the name Bill Bell. The two of them have worked together over the years, have they not, Alex?
Yeah, that's right. Actually, Bill did a lot of work on Tom's record last summer, as well as a couple of other records at the same time. Larry Gowan is another Canadian artist, and Kim Stockwood as well, that he's been working with quite extensively. So Bill's been quite busy. He's a fabulous guitarist and a terrific person to be with, full of life and energy, and I really like his company.
Down to Florida we go. Robert is in Coral Springs tonight listening to 94.9 Zeta in Miami this evening. Hi, Robert.
Hi. Yeah, I was wondering if Alex had recorded a song last year with Skid Row, Sebastian Bach. And I have another question.
Okay.
You might want to answer first.
Okay, for that one first?
Yeah.
Actually, when we first wrote Promise, Sebastian was in town for Christmas. He's from fairly close to Toronto. And he popped by my place and put a vocal on that song. The problem was that as things developed and as I wrote the rest of the material for the record, I really wanted to have one single voice on there, one single male voice. So when I talked to Edwin about working on the record and we got focused on all the songs, I decided to go with him. The take that Sebastian did on the song was really, really great, and Sebastian is a fabulous singer. And talk about energy. The whole studio at home was shaking when he was out there jumping around, bouncing off the walls, doing it. And I really felt really badly about not using him on the record because I know that it meant something to him, and he really enjoyed working on it. But unfortunately, I had to make that call, and I did.
Robert, what's your other question?
I heard Alex was also in Car Stereo Review magazine back in '94. I was wondering if he had some sort of special system or... You know.
I've heard that the word killer may be applied to your system, perhaps literally, Alex.
That was in my wife's car. I didn't have anything special, but it was quite a monstrous system, and I can't even remember all the things that went into it, but it was quite a system. And you could hear the car 100 miles away, actually, at mid-volume. So my son currently is driving around in that car, and he's blown the speakers a couple times, and I thought that was impossible. But, again, he takes after his father, so...
Blowing the speakers, I think the doors came off, didn't they?
Yeah.
Robert, thanks for the call. Jack in the McAllen, Brownsville, Texas area, listening to the new Q94.5. Jack, you're on with Alex.
Hey, what's going on?
Okay, Jack, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually in a pretty good mood. I was wondering, I've got two questions for you. What do you like most about working solo?
Well, it was a very new experience for me. I think when I look back on the whole thing, I think just being in charge of it and the fact that I pushed myself much harder than I think I've ever done before. I've come out of it with a new sense of who I am and what I want to accomplish and a whole new work ethic. I love work now, and I can't get enough of it.
And Jack, your other question?
Okay, and did you find it easier or harder than working with the rest of Rush?
In a lot of ways, it was harder, only because the full responsibility was mine. I wrote the material, I played guitar, I played bass, I played some keyboards, I did some programming, I worked on the cover, I paid for the thing. There was every aspect of it I did. So in that sense, it was harder in some ways than, what we do with Rush. But, it was a very different thing for me, and I'm glad of the experience. But it doesn't affect anything that I feel about Rush and what I want to do in the band.
Jeff is in Rochester, Michigan this evening, and you're on with Alex Lifeson, Jeff.
Hey, I just want to say I'm a huge Rush fan. I really enjoy Victor also.
Thank you.
My question is, in the songwriting process, is it the music that usually comes first, or was it the lyrics? What inspired you?
In the case of Victor, I wrote the music first. I wrote, I think, 5 songs and kind of spent some time on that, worked on lyrics for those songs, and then continued writing music, and then took a chunk of time off and worked on lyrics for those songs. I have to say that I was pretty nervous about writing lyrics. I hadn't done it in about 18 years, and I don't remember it being a particularly great experience 18 years ago. But I was afraid that I couldn't do it, and that it would sound a little corny or whatever. But once I'd settled on thematically what I wanted to do with it, it seemed to come fairly quickly. With Rush, it sort of goes both ways. Quite often, Neil will submit a whole pile of lyrics, and Gad and I will go through them and kind of pick what we'd like to get started on. And then other days, we just feel musically inclined and start working on the music and then fit the lyrics to it afterwards.
Thanks, Jeff, for the call. We are spending the evening with Alex Lifeson tonight, taking your calls, and we'll be playing more of his album Victor, some more Rush, and, of course, more of your phone calls coming up on the global satellite networks.
Nice. All right, part 1. I probably edited a bunch of that because there was a bunch of, commercial plugs and music things and just intermittent things that I'll probably have to, you probably saw I cleaned it up or whatever. But very cool. That was interesting about the sound system in the car. What the heck? That was random. The heck is up with that? I mean, people seem to like it. That's cool about Bill Bell, that he, I had never heard of him before, but it sounds like he's a session guy, works in the scene in Canada. That's very cool about him. Cool. Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why I wanted to check out this album is because of, I don't know for sure, because I don't know. I'm totally just guessing, but how I feel like his role in Rush is. It almost feels like he's the bass player of Rush. Does that make sense? Normally, it's not. Normally, it's the guitar player that's and the vocalist. But in Rush, the vocalist is Geddy, who's also the bass player. So it's kind of a unique situation because it's not always the case. I mean, there are other bass players, there's Sting and there's others, but it's not stereotypically how you think of it. So for Alex in this band, in Rush, he's just the side guy, and they just point to him for solos, and he does his solo in the song, and then he does this weird stuff, and then his sound stuff is quirky, whatever he's doing, whichever style he's doing, his Zeppelin stuff or whatever, and then they're back into the song, and it's he's just rhythm again, or soundscape, or what, just laying it down, as opposed to Geddy, who it seems he's very assertive and opinionated, and meticulous. And I would say Neil is also very meticulous. Alex seems to just kind of be there and go with the flow. That he's in the flow, in Geddy and Neil's flow. Does that make sense? That's how it seems to me. I don't know if that's accurate or whatever. It's a total projection. Right? So that's one of the reasons why I was so interested to hear Victor, because I'm let me hear what this guy's deal is. And I mean, unfortunately, I think that a lot of it was muddled by his choice to mix it himself, or how that went. It just sonically, it didn't work for me. But I mean, there was still cool stuff on there. Also, I feel like some of it was kind of like period sensitive. You know, it was made in 1996. It would probably sound very different if he made it in the 80s or even in the late 70s. I vaguely remember they were talking about doing things in the 70s. I mean, because there was that whole period where they almost got dropped and, you know, probably like thinking for a minute, you know, like, what happens if this doesn't work? What am I going to, you know, like, oh, we're putting out 2112. What happens if this doesn't get received and we get tossed and, you know, all that kind of thing? What do we do next? And anyways. It's cool. All right, we got 2 more parts of this interview. Let's see what else we can get out of it. Awesome. I'll catch you guys in the next video.